Hi, this is Ramesh. I thought I'll talk today about the tremendous Indian victory at Wanderers. I think actually on the day one when the match, I mean the when the play didn't go well, or when Indians actually scored only 187, they put that on the board. It looked as if that actually this is also a gone case, and we would probably kind of like lose the series 3-0. But I really love the way that Cheteshwar Pujara came up and in the post match conference. He spoke so convincingly and so confidently that this 187 is almost equivalent to a 300 plus score on a normal pitch. And he said that this pitch is acting very it is a little difficult pitch to bat on, and he said that this is the most difficult pitch that I have ever batted. And so the ball was really doing all kinds of things. I mean, there were a lot of perfume balls, there were a lot of chin music, and there was a lot of, the ball was always actually kind of reaching the wicket keeper, at a height of about 8-9 feet, and where the keeper had to kind of grab the ball with his gloves facing, the sky. Now, the first things first, that what India did, I think, pretty well. I mean, very well in this to begin with in this test was that, of course, actually, I thought that it got the selection right, and so Ajinkya Rahane had to make it into the 11. I mean, there was no way that you were going to keep a person of the caliber of Ajinkya Rahane out of the team. It is. It's kind of it's not like a when after the fact that like people talk about it, but he's a class player. He's a class player, and he's one of those best bats that actually whom we have in the post-Dravid era, especially on the overseas conditions. So he really bats well, bats deep, bats big, and he needs to be supported, and he needs to be in there in the 11 when India is touring out abroad, overseas, right? So that was what something this thing. And the second most interesting thing was that India won the toss and elected to bat. Now, like I've heard this from the Australians, and especially from Steve Waugh. So he used to say that if you win the toss, bat first, and if you if the conditions are little the condition. I mean, if the opposition bowling is pretty strong, and like you and even then, if you win the toss, think once, think twice, and then elect to bat, right? Now, the third is that actually, if the opposition bowling is really good, and even the conditions are very good, and it's an absolutely bowler's paradise, even then, think once, think twice, think thrice, and then bat. So the mantra being that like win the toss and bat first, and then bat big, and then actually put up a good score on the this thing. Because mind you, if the pitch is not good, and if the pitch is conducive for fast bowling, if the pitch is doing something, if the ball keeps talking, and it keeps doing a lot of things, it's always difficult to play on the in the fourth and fifth day, or it is pretty difficult to play the fourth innings. So it's always better that actually you bat the third innings, and then you are done, and then you just get into the bowling. And so the pitch starts deteriorating, and the pitch can even if the pitch plays true over the over the 4 or 5 days that you have been playing, so it is bound to kind of break up a little, and there could be a lot of cracks, and then the ball could really kind of it can just jump like a cobra from any of the positions, and then you never know. So it's always a good idea to win the toss and bat first. So which is what India did, and that itself actually told a lot of tale about this new Indian team with Virat Kohli. So because they, they said, what the heck, right? We've already lost the series 2-0, and we are playing for the pride. So playing for the pride, because please remember, India is number one tag in the ICC rankings. People might tell whatever they want. Michael Holding the other day had said that he doesn't care about the ICC rankings, but he says this Indian team is not the number one. Whatever. But even then, I mean, like whatever the, I mean, ICC rankings have their own methodology, and then they have their own way of coming up with these numbers. So if they have done it, I mean, it is the same for all the teams, mind you. I mean, so given that actually Indian team is number one, and then they have lost the series 0-2, so the best way of completing the series is actually winning the last test and making it a 2-1 scoreline. And that is what exactly India set to do, and that's what they accomplished today. It's been a fantastic Saturday, and and first of all, actually, I'm really happy that the match went the distance. It looked yesterday. It looked as if the match is going to fold up, and it's going to. I also thought that actually for a minute that in South Africans are chickening out, and they accepted whatever the on-field umpires. When they asked them actually, would you like to continue batting? Then Elgar and Amla said that I mean they don't want to, and then they walked off. Now that I mean I didn't like that, and I'm sure that most of the Indians, 125 crores, wouldn't have liked it because if Indian bowlers, especially, I'm not even talking about the batsmen, if Indian bowlers were able to go out there and bat. Okay, see, it was actually when India had like the at about 230 or 235, like actually after Ajinkya Rahane got out, and let's say even after actually Shami and Bhuvi were actually kind of scoring, they got some quick runs, and then when we were up to about 230 or something, there was one school of thought said that like Kohli will declare the innings because he doesn't want Ishan Sharma and Bumrah to get hurt, or like their I mean to get hurt in the this thing, because the South African quicks were not kind of giving an inch away, so they were bouncing at all our tailenders too. So, and after all, how much would Ishant Sharma and Bumrah had, would have scored? I mean, they would have probably added another maximum 10 runs, 12 runs, 15 runs. But why risk them? If they get knocked on their gloves, and then if they get knocked on their bowling. Hand, and then if they have a little kind of fracture in their fingers or whatever, then you have lost a bowler, and we are out here to win a test match, right? So 230, I mean, actually letting them to score 230 versus 240 is not a big this thing. So the one school of thought said that like Kohli should have declared at 230 or something, and let SA let the Proteas chase 230. But then I would really kind of like say hats off to the Indian bowlers, the tailenders who came out, and then especially Bumrah and Ishant Sharma. I mean, especially Bumrah. I mean, who's not known for his batting, and even Shami and all these people actually. In fact, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Shami, they really kind of like added to the score line, and then. To the score, and then they brought it to 240. I mean, the target came up to 240. So, hats off to them. So, if the Indian bowlers were able to bat, and on a pitch actually which was supposedly the fastest, the bounciest, and the pitch in the entire South Africa, and if the Indian bowlers are able to bat, then it was an absolute shame that the Proteas batters, especially the openers, actually, if they said that, I mean, I don't want to bat this thing because the pitch is looking very dangerous. Of course, the definitely the ball that actually which hit Elgar on the helmet, that had nothing to do with the pitch at all. So it was an absolute snorter of a delivery which actually Bumrah bowled from back of length, and it was not even on the good length spot. It was actually the shot. It was a short delivery, and Elgar did not know how to play it. As simple as that. So if you didn't know how to play it and got hit on the helmet, then that doesn't mean that the pitch is dangerous, isn't it? So anyways, actually, it was it didn't the game didn't end like that. Actually, with the game getting called off and becoming a shame of a test match. I'm very happy that the game went the distance, and they say that in Wanderers, it actually separates men from boys. So guess actually Indians came out as the men today. I mean, they really pulled up their socks, and then they really kind of, like they really put their hearts out, and I think they performed really well today. Even when actually the first session was completely taken away by the Proteas because they didn't lose any wicket at all. So it looked as if the pitch had suddenly become little different. I mean, the pitch had gone to sleep. So which is why we had Sunil Gavaskar actually during the post lunch this thing. I mean, he was out there and he tried to kind of like look very closely to the pitch, and then he even slept on the pitch and tried to wake it up, saying that, hey pitch, I mean, have you gone to sleep or something? So right. So, given all that happened, and then the best part was that actually Indian team didn't seem to kind of like lose their confidence or kind of give up hope. Okay, they continued to keep this thing. Amla and Elgar, of course, really played absolute wonderful cricket. And Amla, in particular, actually, the kind of shuffle that he was doing towards the outside the off stump and then taking away the leg before wicket from this thing. So that was an absolute like these are all the kind of things actually what makes the game so beautiful. I mean, especially the test matches. And so he was absolutely, I mean, actually he actually showed how to play in this kind of treacherous pitch. He scored very well in the first innings and as well as in the second innings, and I think those two were really gold dust. So so now, what are the takeaways? What actually happened, and why did we win this thing? I mean, very simple. The Indian team actually were really hurt by the losses that they encountered in the first couple games, and then they really actually they were playing for their pride, and then they really it hurt them, and then that could be seen really today. And absolutely, like no inch given, no inch taken kind of an attitude. That was really wonderful. And then the bowlers coming in and also kind of like bowling in the right areas. So I mean, even in the first session when nothing happened, they really didn't lose heart. And then actually Kohli also, I mean, I mean he's kind of really developing into a wonderful captain over here, because he doesn't seem to lose hope at all. And especially, I mean, I really loved the fact that when yesterday, when India were about 93 for 4 or 100 for 4, basically, and when Rahane came into bat with Kohli, right? When Vijay got out, when we were about actually speaking 93 for 4, because there was a 7-run lead which actually the Proteas had. I could sense that Indians were trying to look at a victory from here. Okay, so that's the kind of a way the counter-attacking innings that Ajinkya Rahane played. I mean, it really looked as if that, I mean, this team is not the one actually which is looking to close out the game as a draw or something, because I have seen Indian teams over the past. I mean, even when all the the quartet of the batters when they played for India, VVS, Lakshman, Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, Saurav Ganguly, and all these people, and including Sehwag and all these people, I have seen them that actually they when they look. Like when they read the game, and then when they find things are not going as per their way, they try to close the game. They try to play for a draw. Now that becomes a negative, a negative way to play the game, because if you play for a draw, guess what? Actually, there are more probabilities of the team losing rather than winning. So go for a win, which is how the Australians play. In fact, actually, Adam Gilchrist, I think he is. You ask Adam Gilchrist, you ask Ricky Ponting, you ask Steve Waugh, you ask Mark Taylor. All of these people actually, whenever there is an opportunity to go for a win, they will go for a win, irrespective of the fact that actually this can even lead into a defeat. So a respectful defeat is always actually much better than you kind of completely folding up. So I guess actually that itself showed the character yesterday, when India was really kind of looking at I mean looking to win the game. Basically, I could see the thirst in their this thing. And I think that it went really well. And then the takeaway from this series is really the bowling, because taking 60 wickets in the three tests, kind of test after test after test. So the bowlers have taken all the wickets that fell, right? This itself is a fantastic thing. And I think actually when India travel to Australia and to England, they will actually travel with a little more better confidence, because the confidence that actually they were able to take away from this series, that will keep them in good this thing. And they have to just ensure that actually they get the selections right. And then and they also actually have to ensure that they get the practice games, because if you don't, I think actually we kind of lost the series because of not playing a practice game before before the before the Cape Town game. A practice match will put you into a match condition, and how much ever the nets that you play, that doesn't really help you. But if you really play an international match, or not an international match, a practice match, this thing, that really helps you. Like you can find your feet, you can see how your feet is moving, how your arms are moving. You can gauge the this thing, I mean the climatic conditions and etc. and all those things. So it really helps. So I think that is something which the Indian team did not do, and which is why probably I think actually we lost the series today. But nevertheless, I think actually a 2-1. Like I'm extremely happy that Indian team came back to win the last match, and we go out of the series, go out of the test match series with a 2-1 score line actually, which is much better than a 2-0 or a 3-0. So a very happy Saturday to close, and all the very best to this team. And I think on the wicket keeping side, I think actually, they should probably, I mean, if they're, I don't know, actually, they're probably not looking into Rishabh Pant. I think Rishabh Pant is the next best thing to happen after MS Dhoni. He's a left-hander, bats extremely well, and then it's 22 years, and then I mean his keeping skills are also pretty good. So I think actually they should take Rishabh Pant as the second wicket keeper in the overseas this thing, give him some kind of an exposure into the thing, and I think he is going to become the next big this thing. So play Rishabh Pant, actually take him along, and then I think the fast bowlers are doing a great job. So like just kind of stick with them and don't tinker around too much. And the batting, like ensure that Jinx is there. So we just definitely need him there in the 11, right? So I think with these things, I'm sure that Indian team is going to do pretty well in the other series. Let's hope at least, right? So this is one team actually which doesn't say that, I mean, we have been steamrolled over and then we are going to throw in the towel. So I'm extremely happy that actually we were able to kind of make the score line 2-1. Okay, so thanks for listening in to me.